way that you do that, the way that you compete with the big box is creating something that feels very curated, very personalized.
Welcome to Helium's Hot Air Show. My name is Benjamin Thornberg, and today I'm really excited. We've got the head of growth and merchant strategy at Cleverific, their own Josh Stratton.
Helium's Hot Air Show.
Josh, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Benjamin.
You just came back from e-tail in Palm Springs and Shoptalk in Las Vegas. You survived a 4-hour wait in security in Atlanta, which just sucks. So anyone waiting currently in a TSA line watching this or listening to this, we feel your pain. Josh has been there recently. I just want to talk about some of the themes that you saw there. For the merchants who didn't attend, what does the e-commerce landscape look like at 30,000 feet, end of Q1 2026?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I actually missed e-tails, but on the Shoptalk side, and I think this is a trend that really spanned both events based off of everything I've heard, there is a whole lot of conversation around AI, as you could probably imagine. I'm sure that anybody who's coming off of the Shoptalk circuit is probably really AI fatigued, hearing the term AI in pretty much every conversation about every product from every vendor that they talk to. And I think that the problem, or I guess the challenge there, is a lot of people talk about AI as kind of this blanket term or this buzzword, but how does that, how does your approach to AI or what you're doing with it, how is it different from what everybody else is doing? How are you actually, using your expertise as a human being to leverage AI as a tool to really serve the merchants that you're working with? I think that messaging was not as clear from a lot of the conversations that I had with brands when they were chatting with vendors. That kind of got lost in the mix, and it was just kind of an AI soup. There was a little bit of something to be desired when it came down to the substance of what that actually meant.
Actually, the nuts and bolts of it. I love that. I love the soup. I think another analogy that I really like is that AI is kind of like this toolbox, and everyone is just throwing a toolbox at merchants and saying, find a tool that works for you. And the merchant is like, no, I have the specific bolt to unfasten, and I need to know if there's a tool in there that can help me do this better. And everyone's like, yeah, it's in the toolbox. I want to pivot a little bit to, or continue with Cleverific and what you all do. For a merchant who might not be aware, what is Cleverific? Because I feel like there's an opportunity here with the rise of agentic shopping, how you all at Cleverific are focused on the AOV, the CLV in the midst of agentic shopping, and where you see opportunities for merchants.
Absolutely. So Cleverific is at its core an order editing and order modification app for Shopify. Been around for over 10 years. We were actually the first order editing app on Shopify. We were called Edit Order back then. The way that Shopify first rolled out, maybe there are some OGs listening who remember this, Shopify didn't allow you to edit your orders at first. And that was actually a relatively recent thing. I want to say around maybe 2018 or 2019, they introduced the order editing API. Or they started rolling that out, and that's when you could actually make changes to your order natively within the Shopify app itself. Before that, you needed a workaround. Our app was the workaround. Now, what we're focused on, kind of really starting in 2026 and moving forward, is given this kind of context we had around order editing and this really great, community of customers that were using our technology, we started paying closer attention to the ways that our customers were using Cleverific to increase AOV and to increase CLV and to make more money. That really got our attention. We started taking a closer look and actually meeting with merchants, talking with them about the ways that they're leveraging Cleverific to make more money. We kind of put it all in the same pill, if you will, and we called it post-purchase revenue optimization, or PRO for short. And it is a framework and a methodology and a platform that we offer, where you can basically use that order flexibility in order to make personalized recommendations to customers after they've checked out. So you're basically extending that sales funnel, and you're not just putting a blanket offer and hoping for the best, or trusting a black box AI to make the right offer. We work directly with merchants with a service layer to make sure that these offers are truly personalized, and they're also most importantly matching your brand voice. Beyond that, on the hyper personalization side, we really take a look at merchant data and order history data from like their last 365 days is usually where we start, and we're able to make hyper personalized recommendations based off of product customer journeys. We believe strongly that really at the end of the day, you can never hold a machine accountable. So we take a service, human first service layer approach. The AOV part is those recommendations and, upsells, if you will. I hesitate to use the word upsells because it can be kind of a dirty word, and it can.
Right. And for listeners, if you're not familiar, you should be, but average order value is AOV, and then customer lifetime value is CLV. And these are things that are incredibly important. So studies have shown that increasing customer retention rates by even just 5% can increase profits anywhere from 25 to 95%, and returning customers spend 67% more than new ones do. So everything you're talking about is super important. I want to circle back a little bit to that curated from the data of these stores, the sales data, and say these are the most frequently purchased items post checkout. And then putting those front and center in your post checkout or on your checkout page. That to me is something that a lot of merchants really miss, and they miss that on the front page when you go to a store and the merchant just has all of their products out front and center instead of those 4, 5, 6 in that little carousel that are their best sellers that show the merchant instantly, right? You have a blink test before they bounce what they're all about, what they sell, what they're good at, and what people like, more importantly. So Cleverific taking that and saying, no, we're going to extend that to post checkout. I think that's a great thing to be putting time into. That's fantastic.
We think so too. We think in general, like there's a pattern disruption that happens there. Customers are very used to seeing offers, at checkout and even like right after checkout with the interstitial kind of you may also like, or, add this to your type messaging. But how do we take that and really make it relevant and really take it to the next level so it's personalized for that customer? An example of one of the ways that we do that, if a customer didn't qualify for free shipping, we would frame the offer as a way for them to get free shipping for their order. And there's a lot of fun ways to approach that in a way that from a customer perspective feels like an opportunity versus like just more noise.
Yeah, I was able to have Alan Malkoch on, the founder and CEO of FlyRank AI, and he was also talking about the little guy winning to not go head to head with the big brands, but to really niche down and present things that are curated, the personalization piece that you're talking about. Is that where the little guy wins?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's about, building customer loyalty and, what gets customers to continue coming back and building those buying habits with your brand. The way that you do that, the way that you compete with the big box is creating something that feels very curated, very personalized. It has to feel like it's for them, not just for everybody, right? Specifically for that particular customer. And I also think that, when you're able to do that and you're able to provide that experience, that's definitely one piece of the pie. And then the other piece of the pie is how can you make it as easy as possible for them to interact with your brand? How do you make it as easy as possible for them to make that second purchase? First purchase aside, we're really focused on the second purchase and the add-ons there. But every time a customer buys from you, like if they buy from you once, they're more likely to buy from you twice, right? But the drop-off between first and second purchase is pretty large. And if they buy a second time from you, they're more likely to buy a third. And if they buy a third, they're more likely to buy a fourth. So this is really about how do you set those buying habits with customers? And you do it by, being very personalized, having very personalized offers for them, and then making it as easy as possible for them, removing as many steps from the process and as much friction as possible.
I love that. I actually encountered that this last week. I ordered something, pickleball paddle. Big surprise for listeners of the show, but I was able to head back in, and I don't know if they had Cleverific because I'm not clever enough to find that. Brett Shelley could find that in a heartbeat. Going back into my order, editing my order, adding something to my order was absolutely beautiful, and everything that I would have thought that I wanted to put in my order was already there, curated. And that's exactly what you're talking about, is removing those friction points. Amazon also does a good job at this, where if you buy something, you're scrolling through later on in the day, they say, hey, do you want to add that to your order tomorrow? And I mean, they're obviously a different platform. There's different integrations there and things that they can do that most average merchants can't yet. And there's a lot larger set of data, because you're talking about a lifetime customer on Amazon buying, a ton of different things. But that sentiment is exactly what you're talking about. Exactly what we're going for is this frictionless, personalized, and ready to go post checkout options. And I really like that. And it is changing shopping and the way people shop. I want to ask kind of a larger, more ethereal question. What do you see as the future of e-commerce? Like, what do sales look like in e-commerce in the next maybe 5 years?
It's a big one. I don't have a crystal ball, but if I had to make a guess, I think the agentic stuff is still, up in the air for me. I know it already is changing and disrupting everything, like across all industries. But I think once the dust settles, it'll become more clear how that's really going to impact e-commerce. One of the ways that I guess I am a little wary of agentic AI in the way that it will impact e-commerce is from a retention and customer data perspective. For example, like if orders are coming in through like an agent, and I think it's really important that the merchants themselves continue to have access to their customer data. It's kind of like selling on Amazon. If you sell something on Amazon, you don't actually get access to any of your customers' information. You don't get access to their email address. You can't send them like special offers or anything like that. You can't get to know them well enough to make those really personalized offers, and those, what was the word you used? Is a good word. Curated. There we go. Really making a curated experience for them in that way. I think the brands that are really going to excel are already ahead of the curve there. Since cost of acquisition is going up across the board, that was another big hot topic at Shoptalk. I think the brands that are really going to excel are the ones that are already thinking about how to improve their retention numbers. And they're already thinking about how to build that brand loyalty with their customers so that customers keep coming back, and you have to rely less and less on ad spend in order to drive traffic. So I would say over the next, the next 5 years or so, there are certainly already brands doing it, but I think the brands that are going to be the biggest winners are going to be the ones who have a very holistic strategy around that retention piece, around making sure that not only they get the right information in order to learn and get to know their customers, provide them with that curated, personalized experience that's frictionless, and get them to keep coming back, making that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc. purchase from your store, because I think that's what it's going to take. I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think that the pressure on the cost of acquisition is going to let up. So I think it's really going to be on brands to figure out how to become retention engines, not just acquisition and new customer acquisition engines.
I think very similarly along those lines. It's interesting that in current phase, most merchants are spending 90% trying to get that sale, 90% of budget trying to get that sale. And what you're talking about is a future where maybe that pivots a little bit. Maybe we go 50-50 or on that spend from acquisition to retention. And everyone talks about retention, but again, throwing a toolbox at something is much different than giving someone a tool and saying, this will help you in this specific spot. And I think what you all are doing at Cleverific, what we do at Customer Fields, where we're all about that, the data that is voluntarily given by the customer and saying, no, we have that now, so let's use it cleverly. Let's use that in a way that boosts sales and retention. I think we're on the right track there for sure. Preaching to the choir, but still.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, anything else that you'd like to add before the question of the week for you? The floor is yours.
I guess the only thing I would want to add is, if you're listening to this and you're curious to get more information on your post-purchase journey, we do free post-purchase audits at cleverific.com. So you can come shoot us a message, book a time with us. I'd love to chat with you You'll get a complimentary report. They're complimentary for now, at least, where we can really get into the specifics of what your post-purchase journey looks like, what you're doing right, where your opportunities are. And you can take that report and pretty much do whatever you want with it. You can get a lot of good insights that you can take away and action all on your own. You don't even need to work with us. So it's a great resource, no obligation. And I'd love the chance to chat with you. I love learning more about, I'd love to learn more about your brand and about how we can offer insights to help you.
Fantastic. Cleverific.com. I'm going to link that in the show notes. Josh, thank you so much. So we have a tradition on Helium's Hot Air Show, and that is to ask a deep and probing question to help us know you better. So, Mr. Stratton, are you ready to be known?
I am ready.
Okay. If you could teleport anywhere, and possibly more importantly, at any time in history, when and where would that be?
Ooh, my first instinct, I'm just going to go with my gut here.
Yeah, go with your jellies.
I would love to see Queen at Live Aid.
Love it. Love it.
I think that was just a peak performance. There's probably better performances, that I could have seen, but that's such an iconic rock performance. And Queen is one of my favorite bands, and Freddie Mercury, I think is the best, one of the best, if not the best, rock frontmans of all time. So I'd love to see him in front of the Live Aid crowd doing his thing. So that's probably that's gonna be my answer.
I love it. I love it. Well, now you are known to our audience just a bit more. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And we'll connect again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Benjamin. Appreciate you having me on. Talk to you soon.
We'll see you.